So what do you do when you run a YouTube channel about dirt bikes and you don't have any dirt bikes to ride? You answer questions on video. So after that last video which was about the last approximately year and a half of my life, one of the things I mentioned was that I totally cured my arthritis. And I had several people hit me up asking for more details on that. Because, yeah, I get it. It's kind of a big deal. But I was trying to smash everything down into an hour and 30 minutes, so I couldn't go into detail on everything. Here's what happened in my case. I was under the care of a doctor, and I was prescribed an anti-inflammatory drug. On the first day of taking that drug, just bam, arthritis symptoms gone, and I became as active as my heart desired. And that lasted less than a month before the pain started to come back. And then not even too much longer later, I was actually worse than I was before even starting to take that medication. So what does the doctor say? He takes x-rays of my most affected joints, and he points out the calcification on the joints, and he goes, you have two options, basically. Like, we start more like specific drugs that are more specifically meant to prevent this, and we go in and do these little operations to like remove the calcification. That way you have better sliding surfaces in your joints. Or you can dial back your lifestyle and kind of hope for the best, and I'll probably see you shortly for full-on joint replacements. So I'm like, nah, none of that sounds good. More medication that's going to last a certain amount of time, and then just the effect will fade off and I'll feel just as bad. Nah, expensive-ass operations that are going to leave me penniless, and in the end, the same problem's just going to occur over and over, and I'm just going to have to keep doing that. Nah, dial back my lifestyle? Like, dude, I'm 24 years old at this point. I'm trying to go to the freaking moon, man. I'm not trying to dial back shit. So I started digging into the Google machine, right? Trying to find out everything I can about arthritis, basically. And I'm looking at, like, the scientific research, and one thing that I noticed that keeps kind of popping up when I'm just searching the journal databases is omega-3 supplementation. It's being researched on like crazy. So I go down the rabbit hole of all this omega-3 supplementation research, and find that the results are kind of ridiculous. Stuff as crazy as like over half the people in the study are able to completely get off medications because they're taking omega-3 supplements. So I'm like, dang, all right, let's just give this a shot. And I go down to the closest store and buy the cheapest bottle of omega-3 fish oil supplement. And I start taking it immediately, just one of the capsules every day, and nothing's happening for like several days. But I kept taking it, and then like 2 weeks later, I'd say, I'm going up the stairs to my place, and I just noticed, like, with every step, there's not searing pain. There's not that sharp pain that there used to be. There's a sensation. Like, I still clearly have arthritis, but with every step, it's not a new hell. So I'm like, okay, something is going on now for sure. So I'm like, all right, so why is this stuff helping me? Even if it's helping me just a little bit, why is it helping me? So I do more searching on the internet, and here's what I found out. So this part of the video got corrupted, so I'm having to re-record it right now, but basically what I found was in traditional medicine, they see arthritis, they see inflammation, so they prescribe an anti-inflammatory drug, and it kills the inflammation, and you feel better, for a while at least. But the problem is, inflammation is actually like a very necessary, major part of your body's ability or process to heal itself. So the body is trying to fix itself, but it just can't. It can't do it as efficiently as it needs to. And that's because our diet is shit, we're stressed out, we're putting a bunch of crappy poisons and toxins into ourselves, and we are deficient in giving our bodies the necessary building blocks to be able to actually repair itself. So it will just constantly be inflamed. Instead of using inflammation as like a temporary part of the process to heal you, you will just be constantly inflamed and you'll feel like crap. So you take anti-inflammatory drugs, the symptoms go away, but the problem is you've now artificially nerfed a very important part of the body's repair process. So the symptoms go away, but you're still getting worse, and you might actually be getting worse quicker than if you weren't on anything at all. And then when those anti-inflammatory drugs lose their effectiveness, which varies widely depending on the person, but for me it was very quick, when they lose their effectiveness, you will be in a world of hurt, which is what I found out firsthand. So a better strategy is to supply the body with the necessary building blocks to actually heal itself efficiently, and stop putting in the crap that screws our bodies up in the first place. Now, this strategy doesn't have the immediate, symptom-killing effect that just taking a powerful anti-inflammatory drug will, but it's much better, actually, to gradually feel better as your body actually gets better. So one example of a way of giving your body the necessary building blocks to get better is with the proper omega-3 intake. And an easy way to do that is with supplementation. But not all omega-3 supplements are created equal. And that is something I wish I knew before I went out and bought the cheapest brand of the crappiest fish oil ever. That first fish oil supplement that I went out and bought had a combined EPA and DHA content of 60 milligrams. And to put it in the most basic sense, that is the potency that you measure omega-3 supplements by. So I saw a noticeable improvement with just 60 milligrams a day after a few weeks. And then that was one of the crappiest omega-3 supplementation possible. Good ones are going to be closer to 2,000 milligrams a day. So taking a high quality omega-3 supplement has a really big effect. It's not that small, just kind of took the edge off the pain effect. It's substantial. It'll get rid of problems. So here are the brands that I take now. This one is Viva Naturals Ultra Strength Omega-3 Fish Oil. And then this one is Now Foods Ultra Omega-3. Those are what I take now, and I will link to them below. So that was basically step one for me, just realizing there are other things other than what the doctor orders. And I actually got by pretty decently on just omega-3 supplementation. So it's not like I was really looking for anything more, but step two kind of happened by accident. I was putting in pretty hard riding practice, and I was finding it best to do it in the morning. So I wasn't really able to eat breakfast. If I tried, I couldn't keep it down because it's not easy to just eat breakfast and then go ride like the wind. So I started skipping breakfast, very reluctantly, of course, because everyone and everything always says breakfast is the most important meal of the day, right? So I was worried that if I started skipping it, I would shrivel up and die. But I started skipping breakfast, and something amazing happened. I started feeling a lot better in a lot of ways, and again had an impact on my arthritis for the better. It took 3 days for me to get used to it. At first I was hungry, but yeah, after 3 days, I wasn't even hungry. I just had less hunger overall entirely throughout the day. So that was very weird to me. Skipping the most important meal of the day made me feel much better in almost every way. So I kind of looked it up. I was like, is this really okay? I literally asked Google, is it okay to skip breakfast? Just to make sure, are these things that I'm feeling just what happens before you shrivel up and die? And what I found was that I was unintentionally doing a thing called intermittent fasting, which basically just means you don't stay in the fed state all day. Turns out it's actually really unnatural for our bodies to stay fed all the time. It is not how we have been designed to operate, and it is not how we function optimally. So basically what intermittent fasting does is allows your body to transition into the unfed state, which is something it is designed to be able to do. It's supposed to be able to do that. And so allowing your body to do that every now and then actually has very significant benefits. One thing it does is it gives your whole digestive system a chance to rest. Our digestive system was not designed to work as hard as we push it by staying fed 3 meals a day and snacking. It was not designed that way. Our ancestors did not do that. They would often transition into the unfed state, and they would sometimes have to go for days on end in the unfed state. And so we are genetically programmed to function well in the unfed state. Before skipping breakfast, I would often have an upset stomach, indigestion, acid reflux, gas, bloating, just all sorts of problems. After switching to intermittent fasting, that is all a thing of the past. But then you add in a bunch of other effects from being able to go into the unfed state, and you just have this amazing outcome. So in the unfed state, your body has to dip into its energy reserves. Basically, it's going to have to eat itself. It's going to have to eat stored energy. But it is genetically programmed to be able to do this in a way that's not just going to ruin your body. But your hormone levels and a bunch of other stuff will be adjusted during this state so that the important stuff like your body's healing, muscle growth, and like bone regeneration aren't badly affected by going into this unfed state. I can't even begin to describe why this works, but for some reason doing that, going into that unfed state where you're running off of your body's fat, reduces arthritis a lot, like a significant amount. So with the omega-3 and with this, after that, like I was pretty dang functional. So that was step 2, and now I intentionally aim to eat between the hours of noon and 6 p.m. And that way I am intentionally producing this intermittent fasting effect. Step 3 for me was cleaning the heck out of my diet. This part could be like a 6-hour video, no joke. But here are some key things that really, when I made these changes, they made a significant effect. Never have high fructose corn syrup. If something has that in there, just skip it. Avoid added sugars in general, even if it's like the raw sugar or whatever. Just avoid that in general. Reduce the amount of carbs you eat. If you're eating a standard American diet, you're eating way too many carbs. And it's crazy how much better you'll feel if you just reduce the carb intake a lot. And then know what the heck you're eating. So a big thing is eating out, and fast food especially. You might think you're getting a beef patty, but what you're actually getting is something called a 50% beef product with soy filler and other fillers and a bunch of crap that your body was not designed to tolerate, which is going to cause inflammation and not only make your stomach feel like crap, but make the rest of your body feel like crap too. You might think you're getting a chicken patty, but what you're actually getting is the unwanted remnants of a chicken carcass ground up, turned into a goo using ammonia and other freaking chemicals, loaded with fillers, turned into a patty-looking thing and breaded so you can't tell the difference. It's just a bunch of stuff that your body was not designed to tolerate. And know what causes inflammation. So you can literally just look up lists of foods that cause inflammation. And it's going to vary from person to person what causes more inflammation. Like for me, I was tested as gluten sensitive. So anything with gluten, it's going to cause like pretty bad inflammation for me. A lot of people get bad inflammation from like all sorts of grains and stuff. And just look up foods that cause inflammation and then be wary of those foods. What you'll find is a lot of them are stuff that comes from plants. A lot of plant-based stuff. You were not designed to tolerate it. And eat enough fat. Everything now is modified to be fat-free, and that's not good. Getting enough fat in your diet it absolutely helps with arthritis. So eat fat. You need it. So those 3 things that I've already discussed. Getting adequate omega-3 intake, skipping breakfast, and just knowing what the heck you're putting in your body. Those are that was enough for me, in my case, to get me feeling pretty dang good. But then I also, on top of that, I spent a long time experimenting with a bunch of other supplements, one at a time, testing them out to see what actually made a difference for me. And so I'm not going to bore you with like the whole story of like my trials with every single one, but here's a list of things that I found work, so I still take them. This stuff, turmeric, this stuff, boron, and oh my gosh, if you want to have a very interesting read, look up boron effects on arthritis. Some of the most interesting stuff ever. Gelatin, great for the cartilage. Zinc, vitamin D. And now you might be like, whoa, so you need all that stuff to stay going. You take the freaking supplement aisle with you everywhere you go to stay moving. And no, that is not the case. So I'm still in the military as a reservist. So I still go on orders, and it can be months at a time that I go on orders. So I do traveling a lot. And no, I do not take the freaking supplement aisle with me when I do that. At best, I'll take like the omega-3 supplement bottle with me. So I sometimes have to transition back to being totally freaking unhealthy and not having all the freaking supplement aisle with me. So, but what I notice is that I don't immediately go back to all sorts of arthritic and crap. Just like it is a slow process to allow your body to heal, it takes months. If you were to make all the right changes today, it still takes months before you're going to feel completely okay. Just like that, how it's a slow, gradual process to heal, it's also a bit of a gradual process to accrue all that damage again. So you have a buffer of time. So it's not too big of a problem from what I've noticed, from what I've experienced so far. I wish I had this info all together in one place like this, just to get the terms necessary to start doing more research. That's what this whole video is supposed to do. I've given you the terms so that you can start looking stuff up for yourself. I wish I had that for myself about 2 years ago, but it was not out there. So leave a like if this helped.